Credit Union One Arena in Chicago is the name it goes by now, but for wrestling fans who love Crockett, NWA, and early WCW history, you probably still refer to it by its old name. I like covering campus arenas like this. Of course, Chicago has bigger and more storied wrestling venues, but the episode today has some real hidden gems that happen within these walls. I'm Alex, and in today's video, episode 6, I'm counting down my personal top 10 wrestling moments from the former UIC Pavilion. But first, here's our history lesson. The building opened in 1982 on the University of Illinois Chicago campus. It was home to the UIC Flames Athletics and still is, but other traveling events came through here too. For wrestling, the strongest run is pretty concentrated. The former pavilion wasn't a building with one famous wrestling night and nothing else around it. It was a Chicago stop that kept catching the right cards, the right rivalries, and the right stipulations during a very specific era. Now, let's get to that list. Kicking us off at number 10, I have the Steiner brothers defending the NWA United States Tag Team Championships against the Nasty Boys at Halloween Havoc 1990. Rick was still the dog-faced gremlin with the headgear, the barking, and the amateur wrestling base. Scott was still a few years away from Big Papa Pump, but he already had the power and athleticism that made him stand out. Their tag match here gets on my list because of the Steinerizer. From what I've been able to verify, Halloween Havoc 90 is credited as the first time Rick and Scott used the move, and it fit their repertoire immediately. The finish gave the match another early Steiner highlight, with Scott hitting the Frankensteiner for the win. The Nasty Boys attacked the champs with their own belts after the bell, so the Steiners got the win, but Knobs and Sags still left the match feeling nasty. It isn't the biggest moment in the building's history, but it's a perfect number 10. We're still at Halloween Havoc 90 for number 9, where Stan Hansen ends Lex Luger's US title reign. This one works for me because it feels exactly as subtle as Stan Hansen should feel. Luger held the championship for 523 days, so the streak was on the line here. Dan Spivey shows up late with Hansen's cowbell. By the way, anyone else think he looks like a young Steve Austin at first glance? Luger knocks it away, and for 1 second it looks like the champ avoided the cheap finish. Hansen doesn't need it though. He blasts Luger with the lariat, pins him, and walks out with the belt. I like that, because the reign doesn't end with some complicated masterpiece. It ends with classic Stan Hansen grit. At number 8, I have Barry Windham defending the NWA US Championship against Lex Luger at Chi-Town Rumble 89. It's another Luger moment on my list, and this one adds another major title change to the card, in addition to my number 1 moment that's still coming up. Windham hurt his hand after missing Lex near the ring post, and that injury became the thing he couldn't fully work around. He still kept finding answers though. Windham went for the claw, kept selling the hand, and even hit a late superplex that looked like it might save the title for him. Instead, the finish came on a pinning exchange from a Windham German suplex. Luger got his shoulder up, Windham stayed down, and Lex won the US Championship. I like that finish because the title slips away from Windham in a quick exchange where one shoulder makes all the difference. Number 7, back to Halloween Havoc 1990, the fake Sting finish. This is ridiculous, and I mean that as a compliment. Sid appears to pin Sting here, the referee counts 3, fireworks go off, balloons drop, and we have a title celebration before anyone realizes the wrong guy got pinned. Sid didn't beat Sting, he beat Barry Windham, who was dressed as Sting. The real Sting comes back out, exposes the whole thing, hits the Stinger Splash, and keeps the NWA Championship after the match continues. I can't leave this off the list. I think it's actually a really clever finish that still works today, and somehow the balloons make it 10 times funnier. Number 6. The Rock and Roll Express beat the Midnight Express in a Skywalker Scaffold Match at Starrcade 87 Chi-Town Heat. Scaffold matches aren't pretty, just ask ECW fans. The rules were simple: fight above the ring and make both opponents fall. You don't need a long near fall sequence when Bobby Eaton, Stan Lane, Ricky Morton, and Robert Gibson are standing on a platform where one bad step can end the match. The stuff I remember here is exactly the kind of Jim Cornette shenanigans and weird scaffold match spots you'd expect. Big Bubba getting involved, Cornette's tennis racket coming into play, powder getting thrown, and Stan Lane hanging underneath the scaffold before taking the fall. Eaton eventually went down 2, and the Rock and Roll Express won. I have it on my list here because the visual is super cool to watch, and because this was a huge match on a huge show, as it was the first NWA show on live pay-per-view, by the way. Number 5 comes from an NWA house show in August of '87, and it involves WarGames. Chicago got an early version of this match during its original Crockett run, with Dusty Rhodes, Ron Garvin, Nikita Koloff, Hawk and Animal, against Ric Flair, Lex Luger, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, and J.J. Dillon. Two rings sat inside one covered cage, and under the original rules for WarGames, the match couldn't end by pinfall. Once everyone entered, the fight continued until someone submitted or surrendered. The lineup is what gets it on my list. Dusty, Garvin, Nikita, and the Road Warriors locked inside WarGames with the Horsemen while the concept was still new. That's exactly the kind of arena history detail I want in my channel. At number 4, the Road Warriors appear to win the NWA World Tag Team titles against the Horsemen at Chi-Town Heat in '87. This one's brutal if you're a Road Warriors fan, because Chicago basically got the title change for about 5 seconds. Hawk and Animal had their kayfabe hometown crowd exactly where you'd expect them to have it. Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard did what the great Horsemen teams always did. They stayed alive, and they made the other team pay for one mistake. The big moment came when the Road Warriors hit their famous Doomsday device. What a cool finisher. A young Earl Hebner counted 3, and for a second, it looked like Hawk and Animal finally won the titles. But NWA senior official Tommy Young reversed the decision because Animal had thrown Arn over the top rope. At the time, under the rules, that was grounds for disqualification, and Tommy Young saw it. That's the part I like. The crowd didn't just get denied the title change, they actually got to celebrate it first. Classic Dusty finish. Arn and Tully escaping through the rulebook is about as Horseman as it gets. We're still at Chi-Town Heat for number 3, where I have Dusty Rhodes beating Lex Luger for the US title inside the cage. Dusty winning the title in the cage is one of those finishes where the mess is part of the charm of this match. Luger had the championship, Dusty had a 90-day suspension hanging over him if he lost, and J.J. Dillon was floating around ringside looking to interject himself into the match as usual. JJ eventually got involved with the cage key, threw a chair inside the cage, and Luger went for it, but Dusty caught him first and planted him with a DDT onto the chair. 3 count, new champ. I like it because Dillon trying to help Lex win the match blows up in both of their faces. You love to see it, honestly. Number 2 brings the main event and second cage match of the night from Chi-Town Heat, as Ric Flair regains the NWA Championship from Ron Garvin. Garvin and those Hands of Stone came in as champion, and he gave Flair the kind of fight you'd expect. There were chops, punches, the Garvin stomp, figure 4s. The finish came when Garvin went headfirst into the cage at the hands of the Nature Boy. Flair covered him, got the 3 count, and reclaimed that NWA title once again. I like this one because Garvin's reign was built on toughness, and Flair found the one opening that put him down. It's not the happiest Starrcade ending if you didn't like Flair, but Rick getting the title back inside the cage is too big for this building to rank any lower. And now, my number 1 moment. Ricky Steamboat wins the NWA Championship from Ric Flair at Chi-Town Rumble in February of '89. Just say Flair and Steamboat around a wrestling fan, and the expression on their face does the rest. We didn't have a cage, we didn't have a Dusty finish, we didn't have a fake Sting, we just had the Nature Boy, the Dragon, and the NWA title. The match was fantastic, as you knew it would be, and the big thing for me is how simple the finish is. Flair goes back to the figure 4 because of course he does. He's been working Steamboat's leg, using the ropes when he can, trying to squeeze one more escape out of the match. But the Dragon catches him anyway. He turns it into a small package. Teddy Long, holla playa, counts 3, and just like that, Ricky Steamboat is the new NWA champion. That's the kind of finish I love. No overbooking, no weird rule, and the building gets the first match in one of the best trilogies wrestling's ever had. That's my top 10 list of wrestling moments from the former UIC Pavilion, now known as Credit Union 1 Arena. Drop your personal top 10 down in the comments. I'm curious to know where you'd put WarGames, the Road Warriors reversal, and that genius fake Sting finish. I loved it. If you enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe. I have a list of at least 200 more venues that I want to cover, so plenty more episodes to come. On the next episode, we're heading across the pond to the UK for a double shot, as I cover both Wembley Stadium and Wembley Arena in Greater London. Thanks for the house.